Hey everybody, this is Xanax Ben, and today I'm going to teach you about the pros and cons of sharks. So this is a two-segment sea monster that was released with Ocean's Edge, and this is going to be a short one because there's not many pros, and it's almost all cons. So these are basically the smallest type of sea monster in the game. The other ones are 4, 5, and 8 segments, for the most part, and so these ones are the smallest and therefore the weakest, but they still have point costs that are too high. And as you'll see, the few that did get released with Ocean's Edge are not good sea monsters at all, or sea creatures. So the sea monster keyword, you can submerge and then hide underwater, but you can't do underwater ramming like with submarines. And since they're sea creatures, they can't carry crew and treasure. So anyway, well, they can. These ones can steal treasure if they win a boarding party, but none of them have any cargo space, so it's kind of irrelevant to talk about. So I'm just going to go through them. Carcharodon, this one has decent speed, I guess, but 12 points for a two-masted gunship that's disposable and can't carry a captain is a pretty bad deal. And she's got the massacre ability, so kills all crew if win a boarding party, but as basically a two-masted ship, you're probably not going to win a boarding party, and without the ability to carry a helmsman to boost the speed, you're probably not going to catch enemy ships all that often anyway. So Carcharodon is the French shark, and it's awful. So you can see the cons. They're overpriced. They're not very fast. They're not fast enough anyway. I think at least they could have been quicker and cheaper if they were going to be more relevant to gameplay, and they're just not effective units in general. So Squallow is another one. This one's cursed. It has the fear keyword along with Sea Monster. This one I think is probably the best because it's 3 points cheaper than Carcharodon and 4 points cheaper than Teach, which is the pirate one. And that makes it more viable just because it's more cost effective. And fear is actually decent here because you can use it while submerged. So this is something I've done at least once. The opportunity itself doesn't arise that often because it's only L speed for Squallow, and fear is only within S of the ship. Then you have to roll a 5 or 6 to even make it happen. So it requires, a lucky situation, I guess, to even be able to use fear while submerged with Squallow, but I have done it at least once, and it's okay. And Squallow also seems to have decent cannons for the cost, so 2S and 3S, decent, offensive ability, not actual cannons. So Squallow would be the best shark. Another con, this is kind of random, just kind of a problem a lot of people have with it. Another con is that Squallow was remade for the super rares. The same thing, though. Basically just a glittery version. And so WizKids really dropped the ball with the super rares for Ocean's Edge. Pretty disappointing. So another con is that there's basically just a clone. They could have made like a better version, or at least a more interesting and more unique version, but they messed it up and just did a clone version for the super rare. And Teach is the pirate shark, so this one's the most expensive at a whopping 13 points. It's basically Carcharodon, but with less speed and better cannons. So same massacre ability along with the sea monster keyword, but this one has a base move of only L, so it's even slower than Carcharodon, but the cannons are better, so this one's like a dreadnought shark, if you want to call it that, but this one's not good at all either. So for example, I actually did the search for Sea Monster, brings up other ships like this that have Sea Monster in the game piece text somewhere, and this is just a great counter argument against sharks in general. So sharks are a disposable two-masted gunship, essentially, ship type. None of them have any cargo. So, but just in this search alone, here's a better option. Bashaw Folly, SL speed, 2S cannons, +1 to boarding rolls, and you could put a captain and helmsman aboard. That would make it pretty expensive, but at least you'd be able to be a gunship properly instead of the sharks, which just kind of flail about and kind of suck. So the full moon, similarly, would be better. The full moon is not a good ship really at all, and she's far better than any of the sharks. Serpent's Fang, I did a full review of that on my channel if you want to check it out. Serpent's Fang is actually a pretty solid ship, so you could get that for the same cost as the most expensive shark and just have way, way more value for your points. So the cons of sharks are just there's no real limit. They're small, they're ineffective, they're overpriced, they stink. Their secondary abilities are not very good or fitting, with the exception of Squallow. So Squallow is kind of the best shark because it's cheap, and Fear underwater is a semi-viable tactic, I guess, if you get lucky. But and the sharks, and they also have S-range cannons, so that's not good either. With their low speed, they have very limited striking distance potential, which is disappointing for something that ideally would be able to swim pretty fast and can in real life, I believe. So it would have made a lot of sense to just jack up the speeds to like SSS and either leave the cost alone or maybe even decrease them a tiny bit. So that's a fix I could see. Another fix would be maybe making the cannons like all 2S's or even like 1S or something, or maybe make the head 1S and make the head like devastating when it bites down and stuff. And speaking of that, I've got a picture up of this looks like Squallow number 034. Yeah, so or no, this is Teach actually in the Ocean's Edge anniversary game, 10th anniversary of Ocean's Edge, which I played in 2017 because the OE came out in 07. And here's Teach biting on El Toro, which is a giant crab, a titan, and I should be able to do a video about the pros and cons of titans sometime as well. Here we can see Teach attacking El Toro, but this is pretty much a great example of what usually happens when sharks attack. They basically just get blasted out of the water pretty much immediately afterwards because they're terrible. And Toro didn't lose a segment and just ripped Teach to shreds on the following turn. So that's a pretty good example of what you'll experience if you try to use sharks in a game. I found them on eBay. They're out there. Ocean's Edge is the most common set by far. And you can find links in the description if you want any of them. Carcharodon, Teach, and Squallow are all available. Better for collecting than for playing. And I guess they look okay. I guess I've never been a huge fan of sea creatures, of course. But one little thing to conclude this video, if you're still checking it out, is somebody on Board Game Geek recently posted a custom shark. It was by Drevin Shadowstalker. It's a hammerhead shark custom. So they actually made this physically, and I'll go to those pictures in a moment. But this one is 13 points, 2 mass, no cargo, LS moves. Cannons are 4S's, and along with the sea monster keyword, it has captain and the massacre ability and schooner built in, because hammerhead sharks are maneuverable, I guess. So this one with captain, massacre, and schooner ability, this one, just by virtue of having captain, it pretty much automatically becomes the best shark, although Squallow is still 4 points cheaper for better cannons. But yeah, this Molnir, however you pronounce it, this hammerhead custom shark, this is more in line with what WizKids probably should have done to make them more viable. I think maybe a better fix would be to make it cheaper, maybe at least as fast, if not faster than this one, and maybe not have the captain ability, but it's still a pretty cool fix. And now I'm going to go to a picture of the built custom, and the ship is a custom actually too. It's similar to the Cristal del Obispo, but he actually was able to build his custom hammerhead shark. So this is pretty cool. So I'll leave a link in the description so you can go to Board Game Geek, check out the pictures and the stats, and I posted them in the Facebook group as well, of course. So anyway, so that's kind of a little way to end this. Maybe how WizKids could have fixed the sharks or made them properly in the first place. So there's only 3 in the game. Not really any pros. There's no real advantages to this ship type, I guess. So pretty much all cons. Submerged Fear is really the only like saving grace of any of them, and even then, Squallow is a pretty poor game piece overall. So that concludes this video. I hope you liked it. Let me know if there's any ship types you specifically want me to discuss. So this one was short and easy, but I plan to keep the series going if you want me to at least. So comment below which ship type you might want me to do next, or if you want me to do a different type of series or things like that. So leave a like and subscribe if you'd like, and thanks for watching.